In today's video, we're going to talk about how to entertain a 3-month-old, so stay tuned. Hey sitters, welcome back to another video. It is Lydia, and this is my niece Sadie. She is now 3 months old, and today I want to show you how we entertain her and keep her occupied and how we play. So come along with us, and there may be a couple... Oh, excuse you. And there may be a couple bonus things along the way. So I wanted to show you guys some of the stuff that we have to entertain Sadie. This first item is a swing that swings on its own. I always make sure that they're strapped in, especially at this age. They're trying to start to roll and move more often. We've used this ever since she was young. This is a great tool for if I need to step away and go to the bathroom. It's low to the ground, she's strapped in. I'm able to take a small break and go to the bathroom and come back real quick. Usually when I'm in this, or she's in this, I like to talk to her and make funny faces. Sometimes she just enjoys sitting in there and watching what's going on in the area. So if you're watching a young child, a 3-month-old and a second sibling, they do like to, excuse me, they do like to watch what's going on and observe. They also are holding on to things or starting to learn how to grip and reach for things. So we always try to give her something to put in her hands to play with and move around. Moving on to our second piece of equipment that we use for her is this play mat. Most parents are going to have a play mat for their children. She really likes this. Again, she's reaching for things. She is really into grabbing and pulling. And then you can see her twist her body like that. So she's not fully rolling yet, but she's still getting that momentum. And that is a big reason why I will not leave her here and go to the bathroom, because if she does flip, first I don't want her to bonk her head, and I want to make sure that she's being supported correctly, and it's not something they should be doing on their own just yet when they're just learning how to do it. And then also, I don't know if you can see him, but we have this big guy. We have a dog who doesn't know his own size. He loves her, but sometimes he just gets a little too close and he doesn't know boundaries and will try and get very close to her. So leaving her on the ground is not an option in this household. Usually when the families have dogs, I don't leave the children on the ground and walk away at all, just because of that reason. I don't know how the dogs and the children interact, and I don't know if they truly know their size or not. So some dogs are gentle, but other dogs truly just don't know. So I don't leave them on the ground by themselves. However, there's things here for her to play with. So we have a little book that she'll play with. I try to set it up to the side of her face so that she is also looking both directions, and that she's getting all that motion in. There's these things that go around her ankles or her arms. What are you doing, silly? So if you put it around her arm and she shakes her arm, they rattle and make noises. She's into that. So this is a great 20-minute tool for us to use. I also like to do tummy time over here. If you can see this, it came with the play mat. It is very noisy and very annoying. So we only use this as a distraction when she is on tummy time. It helps her look at something and engage with something and keep her head up when she's on her tummy. Do you want to show them tummy time? So right now I'm helping her figure out that transition from her back to her stomach. And she will sit up, and I'll take this out of the way so you're not bonking your head on it. But see how she leans as well? This is why if she goes, oh, here we go. If she does get onto her stomach, I will not leave her alone because of this right here. She will roll, but she doesn't have that head control yet, and she will hit her head if I don't have her watched. So she really enjoys that. It helps with getting her head up and that she is really engaged with it and pushing up on those arms. So it's perfect for tummy time. Other than that, we don't play it. There's so much else going on in this household that she doesn't need the music from this. Are you enjoying that? Alrighty. We're gonna move on to one of the next items. So I'll also help her roll back over and just make sure that her head is supported and that she's not hitting it on the ground. And then I'll scoot her back over underneath to see all the hanging stuff. So that's the floor toy. Again, I don't walk away from her just because of the dogs. And I like to help with tummy time, and this is a great mat for that. And again, most families will have a play mat for their kids. If not, I usually like to put a blanket down on the ground on a soft surface, whether it be a carpet or some mats, and have them lay down. And again, entertain them with just your facial expressions, talking to them. They really enjoy that engagement. So, alrighty, you ready? Moving on to the next two items we use for Sadie to keep her entertained. The first thing is this water mat. So usually it's filled with water. We just drained it, so I'm not going to fill it up again. But these little foam animals float in there, and then you press it and they move around. So there's one of two ways we use it. We either sit her on her laps and have her feet touch it, and so she's kicking it and it's moving, and she looks down at it. She's already looking for it. And she really likes that, and we help her like push it around and play with it. So that'll keep her entertained. Or we use it for tummy time, and I just put like half of her on it, and she uses her arms to squish it. And she's enjoying that too. What? So that was the water mat that we use. So this we call a saucer. This is Nemo themed. We found it at a consignment shop, so we made sure it was all clean for Sadie, but she really enjoys it. We just started using it for her because she was not strong enough to keep her head up, and you need to make sure that they can do that before you put them in any sort of container-like thing that they have to sit up on their own. So she really likes this one, and it plays. I do recommend that you look up for different saucers. There's different ways of using them. There was one recently that has a plate underneath that they stand on and they use. So we made sure that her tippy toes are the only thing touching the ground, because that's recommended, that only their tippy toes are on the ground. So we made sure it's that height. This turtle plays noise. This Finding Nemo plays noise. This has some balls in it that turn around. And then she really enjoys staring at these as well. And she's into bouncing. And there's a mirror on this pufferfish she looks at. She's not spinning in it. It can spin. This centerpiece does spin, but she's not there yet to actually spin. But she is enjoying the jumping. Sometimes we put it at the back door so she can look outside and look at the nature. Like I said, she's typically a very happy baby, and she is entertained easily. She observes everything and takes everything in. So it's not hard. Most of these things we do no more for 20 minutes, and we move on to the next thing. So with a wake hour for this age is about, are you talking? Are you telling them? You telling them how you like your Nemo? For this age, a wake window is usually around an hour and a half. So by the time we're done with all of it, and then you'll have changings, diaper changings in between and feedings, she's ready for another nap. So it works out perfectly. We have just enough to keep her entertained. Oh yeah? And then also we just sit and talk with her sometimes as well. We sit on the couch with her and just enjoy her company and talk to her. And there's so many of us in this house that she gets a good amount of exposure to a lot of people. Yeah. Anything else you have to say? If they have any type of saucer thing like this, it is great exercise for them as well. They use a lot of energy in the bouncing portion of it. So it exerts a lot of energy, and for most babies, they find it enjoyable. I do have a couple kids who don't like this type of toy at all, so we find different ways to entertain. So Sadie is in her swing. I'm going to go ahead and make her a bottle. She does take formula now, so she's a formula baby. So I'll show you how we create that or put that together. So this is our drying rack. We make sure that everything's cleaned out and is thoroughly cleaned for the next feeding. And then we make sure that we put all the pieces together. Now, for babysitting, there may be different types of formula that different babies take. Not all babies take the same formula. Sadie, I'm getting there. So I make sure that I read the directions each time. Most of them are the same, but there are a couple in between that are different. So I make sure that I read how many ounces of water to scoops of formula. We do use tap water for Sadie. Her mom is okay with that, and the doctors have talked to mom about it, and that's what they agreed on. However, there are families who do like water from the fridge, or they have bottled water set out specifically for bottles. So just make sure that you're asking and clarifying where do they get the water from. So you want to make sure that the water is not too hot, not too cold. And I first do that with my fingers, and then the best place to figure out where, if it's room temperature is what you're aiming for, is to do it on the wrist. If it feels very neutral, very room temperature on your wrist, then that's really what you're aiming for. So that's still a little too hot. That's better. And right now she's drinking 4 ounces. And that's another question to ask the mom and dad, how much she is drinking. I think 3 months is between 4 and 6 ounces. And then it varies how often they eat as well. So I do know this formula. I know how much ounces to scoops it is. It's 4 ounces and 2 scoops, but they're unpacked. So you don't want to pack a lot of formula in there. I'm getting there, Sadie, I promise. I know, I'm playing with your food, huh? And then I usually do this over sink so I don't get it everywhere. And then again, they're unpacked. It's okay if they're not up to the top. I try and get as much as I can. But then I go ahead and shake it. Sadie, I'm getting there, I promise. I promise. And then I shake it, make sure that everything's mixed in there thoroughly. Formula can get clumpy, so make sure that you're really getting everything from the bottom. Okay, so when it comes to feeding, she's definitely getting fussy. I make sure that Sadie girl. So she really likes this blanket. We call it the magic blanket because it helps with falling asleep and feeding. I make sure that I have a burp cloth. Okay, all right, here you go. Okay, so I make sure that she's at a good angle. She's not too flat laying down, and she's not sitting straight up. When you are feeding, making sure that that nipple is full of milk, and she's trying to hold her own bottle lately, but trying to make sure that it's at a good angle. So they're not being drowned, but they're not also trying to fight for that milk either. It should be really simple and easy. So I make sure I have a burp cloth under her because she does leak a little. She does like her blanket here snuggled and wrapped up. Sometimes she eats before nap, so she'll go straight down for a nap, but I don't think she's ready just quite for a nap. We'll see after the bottle. However, when they are falling asleep, I try to wiggle the little the bottle in their mouth to like kind of see if they're still awake and feeding, or if they've completely fallen asleep. If they have, I don't like to keep the bottle in their mouth at all. I switch over to a binky just because eventually they're not swallowing that milk. You're essentially drowning them. I don't like that. So if they're not actively sucking on the nipple for milk, I'd pop in a binky. It's a much safer option. But if they tend to wake back up, then I will give them the rest of the bottle. So we're gonna eat and then we'll see if she's ready for a nap. Alrighty, so Sadie is now done with her feeding. She didn't fall asleep, but she does seem very tired. We're gonna go for a walk and she'll probably fall asleep in the stroller, but I wanted to get her some fresh air this morning. It's a beautiful day out. However, when I do know she's falling asleep or she will fall asleep after the bottle, I will go ahead and burp her halfway through the bottle so that when she does fall asleep, I don't have to wake her to burp her. She'll just go in her crib. So yeah, she's got that stare that she's probably going to fall asleep as soon as we start walking in that stroller. So we're gonna go on a walk right now. I like to make sure that the sun is completely out of her eyes, whichever way we're walking. And then it's a catch-22. We live in Florida, so we try not to bring too heavy of a blanket, but this is her favorite, which means she'll probably fall asleep once we start walking. And then this pacifier, she tends to spit out, so I'll put it back once in a while, but don't pull it out of your mouth. But she enjoys the breeze. Like, she's already starting to fall asleep, so I bet if I start walking, she's gonna be out. But the breeze, the outside, it's all very good for her, and she'll probably fall asleep here soon. So. Alrighty, so we got home from our walk and she ended up waking up from the stroller. So we did our whole routine again of keeping her entertained and mentally stimulated, and now it is time for another nap, so I'm going to go ahead and put her down. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, please let me know down in the comment section below. This was just kind of an ideas for you to get how to entertain a 3-month-old and kind of what to do with them during their wake windows. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.